I'm recording this because the survivors no longer envy the dead. The final war is over. Its architects forever entombed in melted glass and steel. I watched the efforts of our species dance away like a radioactive wind. Civilization retreated by millennia. All of human history brought to dust. Our cities, now scorched black mausoleums, serve as a reminder there can be no victory in war. Earth is the answer to the question of our mortality. With resolute defiance, we choose to grasp at the delicate thread of life. My son, the gift of survival is yours. Please, may you never sleep.
Oh, they've done it! Miron Muslić, an instant hero! Can you believe it? Plenty attacking! No! The comeback is complete! A stunning second half from Schalke!
Willkommen zurück auf Schalke America. We're back for 2026, 2027 in the Bundesliga, Jack. Welcome, my co-host and friend, Jack. How was your summer, my man?
Not bad, sir. It's good to be back with you. What is this? Is this year 9 or year 10 for us?
10.
The Big 10. We got to do something for our special 10-year anniversary at some point. Yeah. But no, crazy to still be here and still kicking with you and do it in style back in the Bundesliga for year 10, where we want to be and hopefully going to be up for good this time and no more yo-yoing. So looking forward to getting into all that goes with that.
Yeah, and I had to bring an oldie but a goodie, but I had to bring in the old Angry Tree for little drinks tonight, little libations.
Bolter action, there you go.
That's right. Glukau, we're back alive and kicking. Eric, Asynchroner, Joseph, Sanjar, we're glad to see all you guys. If you are listening or watching along, tell us where you're at. Man, it's good to be back. We were in the doldrums, not quite as long as Hamburg, but 3 years. It was quite a trip. We said from the beginning, from the first relegation, 5 years ago or so, that like it's not going to bounce down and come back up right away. We did it the first time, but the second time took a lot longer, Jack. And it gives you appreciation for a couple things, right? One, how special it is to be in the Bundesliga. But two, what I think for all of us in hindsight, hopefully we don't get to visit it again, hopefully for a long time, maybe never again, is how good the Zweite Liga is. It really is one of the best leagues in the world that really nobody knows about outside of Germany or those who are devout fans of the league or the country. So, I'm glad we experienced it. I'm glad it's over, and I hope we stay here for quite a while. And some of the moves that Herr Baumann has made maybe has maybe we'll let this remain here, but to be determined. Long way to go, Jack. How are your thoughts on the whole nostalgia trip and finally coming back to
Yeah,
Bundesliga?
it's just like you said. I think this second and more recent stint in the second division was more what we were expecting from the first one. We weren't necessarily expecting to bounce right back up after that initial relegation, and just the recruitment and everything else panned out that we had. And honestly, I shouldn't even say that, because once again we still had to go on that crazy run towards the end of the year to suddenly swoop into a title position. It was far from secure, even with 6, 7, 8 matches left. But even so, like the second stint, multiple years down there, that's a real thing that can happen. Obviously, when you get relegated, and we're lucky it didn't last even longer than that. But glad we're back up top. We're looking for some stability and everything. And that's, I don't know what you're going to say about it, but for me, once again, the only goal is staying up for me this season. We just need to build a foundation and hopefully secure the club. A lot of people behind the scenes have been doing great work, to help secure the finances. That's going to be stretched, making the jump back up to the Bundesliga. A lot of people think it's inherently like purely a good thing financially, right? Like, oh, all this extra money from whatever else, but like there's additional expenses that come with that as well. So yeah, it'll be interesting. But I'm certainly looking forward to it, and would also echo your sentiments once again about the second division. While I hope we're never back there, it was a great league to cover. I had a lot of fun, with us being in that league and everything. And I really gained a newfound respect for the second division, and I hope there's continued to be more eyes on it going forward.
Yeah, 100%. And I think while last year, being in this fight, the Liga, experiencing, winning promotion, winning the championship, it was fun to finally enjoy that once again. It's been a long time since we got to experience that. However, I think this year will be a little different from last year, and I agree with you. I think the lone goal, the main goal should be survival, right? Whatever points it takes, 33 points, 35, whatever the magic number is to get survive. That's the number one target, and anything above that is just icing on the cake.
Gravy,
Gravy, yeah. Our first opponent, Augsburg, were in a relegation fight for much of last season, and they end up going on a run end of the season, finishing 9th. So, I don't want to be in that kind of situation, but hey, I will take it gladly, compared to getting relegated once again. But we got a long podcast tonight, a little bit of rundown for tonight. We're obviously talking now the thoughts on being back in the Bundesliga. There's been a lot of changes this summer, so we're going to talk about new kits, new sponsors. We're going to look at some new arrivals, maybe some departures. More so on the arrival side, we're going to look at, and then how does that work for us tactically, and what are the realities and challenges we're going to face coming up this season? Expectations for the year, and then a quick preview of Augsburg, because we play them on Sunday, first game. So we wanted to get this podcast. It's not our traditional day, right? We usually do it on Mondays. However, we got a game on Sunday, and we want to get back on Mondays next week. So, let's start real quick before all of that. How are you feeling after this weekend? Because we had the DFB Pokal. The result, if you look at the score, 5-2, looks great and all, but like we had to go to extra time to get 3 goals extra. I mean, it wasn't necessarily the easiest game to get to watch. Shout out to DFB Play for showing the games for free, but I guess it's a good wake-up call to start the season, maybe?
I feel like the majority of the time that I've been a Schalke supporter, the DFB Pokal has not been a particularly fun tournament for us, or it's been, some early bounces, some rough performances, or some controversy or something. And look, while I would like to think that as a Bundesliga side playing a 4th division side, we'd be able to take care of business relatively easily, certainly didn't play out that way entirely overall. And I think maybe some things to talk about from that game in terms of things to be concerned about tactically and whatnot, like our ability to break down a low block and other stuff like that. But we ultimately had to resort to some subs that I don't know if we were planning on using. And that obviously made
or as long as they played.
Correct. Yeah, that's also true. That fortunately made the difference for us. But certainly nervy stuff. Don't want to be taken to 120 in round 1 by a 4th division side, but got over the line.
Yeah, I'm not going to really say too much about the game. I mean, obviously 5 goals is always a good thing, right? Two main things really from that game. You got to give credit to Hallischer. They stepped up. I love that the DFB Pokal is chaotic, especially the first round, because it's on the road. No VAR is allowed, but you're usually at a smaller club like Hallischer. Hallischer, maybe from that performance, you would think they're one of the best teams in the Regional Liga. And so you got to give a shout out to them. They played really, really well. A lot of gutsy performances, late goals in both halves to kind of keep the game going, really fed off the crowd. And then 2, there are some things we need to work on. I think it was a good wake-up call for us in the sense that if you see that we're playing a 4th division team, it's going to be a cakewalk. It's like, no, not necessarily. One, it's the Pokal. Anything can happen, right? We've seen that before. We saw Arminia Bielefeld when they were 3rd division be in the finals a couple years ago. Anything can happen. But I think it was a wake-up call for us because if we thought we're a Bundesliga team now, we can just walk over most teams that are below us. That's not the case. We got to earn it. And I think the fact that we got to be tested before the season starts, keep in mind, Hallescher are on their 5th game of the season. We haven't even played our 1st game yet, so we're still in preseason mode. So, like, they're a much fresher team than we are. They're much more prepared than we are. So the fact that we could work our way through that game, and then once the big boys for our team got in there, we kind of took over and we kind of like separated ourselves and over extra time. It took extra time. I think Džeko ended up playing 90 minutes anyway, and he came on in the second half. So it's one of those things, and I'm glad it didn't go to penalties because anything can happen in those situations. So, but it's over and done with. We win. Doesn't matter. A win is a win in the Pokal. That's all that matters. We're moving on. And we get the season started off this week. So I'm excited about that. So let's get things going from this podcast. A lot of new this summer. We knew that was going to happen. Obviously, player personnel wise, we knew there were going to be a lot of changes because most players that we had were either on loan or some kind of situation where we didn't think maybe they're going to continue for the Bundesliga. Maybe they weren't ready for the Bundesliga, right? Edin Džeko, not one of them. Obviously, one of the guys we wanted to keep. But to start things off, we got a new sponsor. It's no longer Sunnymeal. They're still around, but it's not going to be our main shirt sponsor. Our main shirt sponsor is going to be Boehmer. They will be the partner through the season through 2029. So it's from the company owned by the Beckhams, not David. And so it's a little bit more money than Sunnymeal provided. So it's nice to see that. I saw the name on the kit. It looks good. The way the kit looks and the way they wrote the letters, it reminds me of the old Veltins jerseys. Obviously, it doesn't say Veltins, but I like Boehmer as the shirt sponsor. Thoughts on the new sponsor?
Yeah, Beckham rather than Beckham, right? But yeah, hey, I'm all for it. I'm not going to claim that once again I know too much about the
me either.
In general, but I agree with your general take on the aesthetics and whatnot.
Yeah. And there's also a new shirt sleeve sponsor, and that is Blacklader. Whatever. They got it. They got the contract through the season. I'm not sure how long it goes, for a couple of years, but another shirt sponsor there. So hey, anytime we get anything new, it's good to have. Asynchronous approves the sponsor. So no, it's good to have there. But with a new sponsor, both on the shirt and on the sleeve, you got to get new kits, right? And the new kits, I approve of all three of them. So let's look at the home one. Again, look, I love the look here, the checkered look, and the Boehmer. It kind of reminds me of the old Veltins ones back in the day. Thoughts on the home jersey?
Yeah, pretty clean. I like the two-tone stripes up top too, which I think is kind of reminiscent of some jerseys maybe from like 10 years ago more or something like that. So I kind of dig that. Yeah.
Yeah. That looks clean. And then let's look at the away kit. Nice, clean, super clean. Nothing cleaner. Yeah.
These are very popular, I think, for good reason. The Adidas logo looks sick on that.
It is.
The retro Schalke.
I'm glad we're using it this year.
Yeah, the collar, all of it. This is maybe the best kit I can remember from Schalke in quite a long time. So yeah, very, very hyped about that.
Yeah, it's easily a top 5 kit right there. And then whereas 2 other kits, right? So the goalkeeper kit, shout out to Nuremberg. It's like a shout out to them. I like it, man. I like the Nuremberg colors for the goalkeeper there. Thoughts on the Nuremberg collab there?
I say let Karius wear whatever he wants to wear as long as he puts in good performances. So hopefully he's stoked about it. I don't know.
100%. And then the third kit, I like the third kit too, man. It's bright color, but hey, I like it.
Classic. No, yeah. And then we've done that kind of stuff before. This is a bit like Wolfsburg-y, right? But we've done some like some fuchsia or some like kind of like off, kind of like pinky purple stuff in the past. So yeah, love it.
Yeah, Joseph's like, I'd love to get my hands on new kits. Yeah, I think it's a little bit harder for us in the States to get our hands on these kits, but it's not undoable. It just takes a little bit more extra work for us to do
Once
that.
upon a time, there was a Schalke U.S. store based in California, and now that we're back in the Bundesliga, who's to say that there won't be one?
Who's to say? Who's to say? So no, I like how we're kind of going back to old school, right? It's a blue jersey, a nice clean white one, and then whatever third kit. But we're celebrating our 25th anniversary of Schalke jersey designs and stuff like that in general. When they started doing kit launches, and I think for a brand as big as Schalke being back in the Bundesliga, it's so important that to kind of make sure that commercially we are identifiable. And so those who remembered us from when we were last in the Bundesliga, they're like, oh yeah, that's Schalke colors, no doubt about it. A lot of times you see teams in modern days where they try to do too much and they don't look like themselves, right? They are the team, but they have all these fancy designs or logos. And you're like, who is this team? Schalke is pretty distinct, blue, white, and whatever third kit is. So I like that they're being pretty clean and focused with the way they do this.
Yeah, absolutely. Allow us to reintroduce ourselves, I suppose. So hopefully it's a positive introduction. Looking forward.
It's such a dynamic though between the Veltons Arena bringing back 62,000 plus, and then you got Elfersberg that has 11,000 or something. I know they're not going to play at their stadium unless it's ready, but it's like a drastic difference. But it's funny how it is, right? Koningsblau and Weiss. All right, let's talk some players. Let's start first with the marquee man, the guy who we brought in last January, and he asked for double-digit goals, and he gave it to us. Edin Džeko, he renewed. There was some talk at the end of the season whether he would renew or not. Schalke made every effort to try to appease him, to let him go to play for Bosnia. They got Sinic involved with the recruiting and Katic and everybody else. It worked. Edin Džeko decided to renew after the World Cup for at least another year. So I don't expect him to be the main starter, but if we see anything like we just saw on the weekend where he just comes on in a super sub role and scores 2 goals, I will take it. He's 40 years old now, so we can't expect the world of him.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, I think the Džeko, the easy comparison to make is Džeko and Tirada, right? The last time we went up, we brought Tirada with us, who had a big impact in second division. Džeko, obviously, much different impact when they came in January, played a few matches, that kind of thing. But I mean, the difference here is Džeko's a lot older, but he also has kind of had a better career in terms of the heights that he's reached and the caliber so he's potentially going to be able to make more of an impact in the top flight from that perspective. But it remains to be seen. Like we said, he took potentially some convincing, needed some time, obviously, understandably, after the World Cup in the summer to figure things out. Health is always going to be a concern for anybody at that age. And like you said, is he going to be a first choice option? Is he going to be a super sub? Seems likely that he's probably going to be more in the super sub kind of a thing. Is Muslić up to kind of take the lead for that? Is it going to be somebody else ultimately? I mean, Silla didn't look particularly good against Hollischer, a 4th division team. Once again, first game.
Yep.
I know all those things. But yeah, a lot of question marks. I'm glad we have Džeko back, obviously. You certainly want him rather than not having him. Made a huge impact in his limited time last year and is certainly going to have, the professionalism and the experience and the leadership that you would want. But yeah, I think his impact is going to be potentially a little bit more remains to be seen situation.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought up Simon Terodde because it's a player that we all love. I highly rate him. He's obviously one of the best Zweite Liga players, if not the best Zweite Liga player ever. But he and Džeko are two different kind of players. They both score a boatload of goals, but Terodde is your out-and-out poacher, while Džeko he's even in his prime, I wouldn't say he was quite world-class, but he was right there. He has the skill. You can just see it, both feet. He's got the touch. You can just see that Hollischer game, the one that Silla scored a goal where Fauzi gave him the ball. He quick one-touch pass to Silla, threw everybody off, and Silla scored a tap-in goal. Those kind of things, those kind of playmaking abilities is what sets him apart from a Simon Terodde type, and no disrespect to Simon Terodde. And so I agree with you. I think him in the Bundesliga, he doesn't have the pace or anything. He can do those kind of things. He can hold up the ball very well. And I felt once he entered the game against Hollischer, for example, the mood changed. It seemed like we got our swagger back all of a sudden passing wise. We started doing all these quick one-touch passings where before that we hadn't done that. So he brings a little bit of confidence too when you have a guy that's that skill set on your team. I've seen it with other teams. You just feed off of it. And Džeko is a proven winner, and so I'm ecstatic that he's back and whatever role he plays for us. We got some other new pieces too that might get a start over him, but he will be vital for us as long as he stays healthy. I think the best thing to do is play him as a sub to start the season, and as the season goes on, you can start increasing those minutes maybe.
Yeah, I think the combination play is a good shout from you as well. It's not just the goal scoring; it's what else he can do in possession. We talked a lot last season about how at times Karaman looked kind of unlocked or a little bit better when he was playing alongside Džeko because there's more gravity towards Džeko and just like you said, the intricate kind of one-touch passing around the edge of the box. There's players that can take advantage of that if it's happening, and they kind of need that partnership. And so he's certainly been able to provide that in a lot of his performances. So yeah, that's certainly true and something that still kind of struggles a bit more. Not his game, not his bag really. So. We'll see how that goes. It's going to be interesting to see if there's the guys we had last year too that never really kind of put their mark on the team, whether it's Hoyland or other people like that. You know what I mean? Whether there ends up being an emergence, but doesn't seem like that's overwhelmingly likely early on from what I've seen in preseason.
I would agree with that. However, those who did make a mark last year, and obviously a lot of credit goes to Herr Baumann for acquiring the guys like Adley and the like. They did well. They provide us lots of goals. Ljubicic as well. That catalyst to score the goals that we did and eventually get all the wins in the championships that we did. And so Baumann has big shoes to fill for himself, essentially, because it's a new league and kept some of those players. But then he added a new Avengers team apparently, and it's a bunch of new faces. So far, I've liked what I've saw from all the players, but you go from left to right. You have Robin Gosens, long time Schalke fan, has flirted with the club for a long time. He's on loan from Fiorentina. Satoshi Tanaka comes to us from Fortuna Düsseldorf. You have Dina Ebimbe. He comes from I forget what team. One of the teams I don't remember now anymore. Frankfurt, I think. Maximilian Wöber, defense, good passing ability from the defense, and then Junior Adamu, who I think may be one of the key guys for us in the striker position this season. We see all these guys who've had some nice glimpses of brilliance this season so far. Looking position-wise, you kind of see what Baumann is doing. He's trying to add depth and add some skill level that are Bundesliga quality. Obviously, Robin Gosens, left back, left wing. He has immense experience, was an international, at one point one of the best left backs in the world. Maximilian Wöber is a center back, but he can play in a 3-back system, which Muslić will want to do, and also likes to play on the left-hand side. And we have some depth now in the center back position. You look at Dina Ebimbe. He is a right winger, a right midfielder, so he can play that right back role as well. Murad up there. You look at Junior Adamu. He's a striker, a center forward. He can really play anywhere in the front attacking positions. And then Satoshi Tanaka is very similar in the vein of El Fauzi. I believe El Fauzi and Schallenberg will be rotating this year. Obviously, the two main guys, Schallenberg and El Fauzi, get the start of this, but Tanaka has an engine on him, and he is a guy who can create stuff, much like El Fauzi. When the ball goes out into the opposition box, he'll get in there as a trailer, and he's got a good shot on him as well. So I'm excited about the guys that we acquired here, that Baumann acquired, and so far what I've seen in preseason and in the Pokal, I'm liking the new signings so far. It's still early, but I love what I'm seeing.
Is this the first window for Loftel? Is that his name, or was he part of the?
No, okay, I think he started this summer.
Yeah, because I know he's been there for a bit, I thought, but I wasn't sure. I thought Baumann, that the January window was mostly Baumann in the previous regime.
Loftel wasn't to start until June or whenever his contract started.
Okay, yeah, so it'll be interesting to see how this pans out. This is kind of obviously a first important foray into things. It's a difficult window, once again, given the lack of financial resources. We're not really doing a squad overhaul in any sense for here, so it's tough what we're working with. I mean, what I would say is I think Tanaka was probably the player I was highest on that we knew about a while ago.
Yes.
And he's had an interesting kind of rise because he hasn't been in Germany very long. He came from Asia fairly recently, right? He only played less than 20 games for Düsseldorf last season even. I liked him, last year. It seems like a lot of energy, not afraid to go to ground. Will kind of be a nuisance and get up on people. So, hopefully that'll be, helpful for us. I agree with you in terms of, Adamu potentially being like the key signing. We're going to need help up front. I mean, like I don't know what position he's going to be playing exactly. If he's going to be more central or more wide, but yeah, I think I agree. Like he's going to have a big impact, and I'm looking forward to seeing more of him. Is Ebimbe like? Look, is he going to be right wing back? Is that the idea? I mean, for the most part,
I think so. I mean, I think so
because it kind of seems like if we it seems like that was the intent for him, but like. Because otherwise it's going to be Becker again and like stuff like that, and that's kind of it's not ideal, especially in the Bundesliga probably. Yeah. I mean, look, the Gosens thing, that's kind of like the signing you need to have all the fans like hyped up and feeling good, like going into the Bundesliga. I was more excited about it. This happened 5 years ago when we were kind of flirting with it at times than 7 years ago, however long that was. Back earlier in his Atalanta days or whatever. But look, Gosens is class. It's inherently a good signing in that respect.
Yep.
You just have to be concerned about his durability. It's only a good signing if he's on the pitch, and if he's injured for 75% of the season, then it's kind of a waste. So that's what I'm concerned about with him, potentially his injury issues and other things, especially his age. But Gosens, I'm super happy that we have him. You need people that care about the club. They're going to be willing to fight because it could be an ugly season, right? And you need people that aren't just going to be like, oh, I don't have a lot of time on the ball, or I'm not really scoring goals. Like, this isn't for me. You need people that actually care about the mission and the project and want to be there and wear the kit and all that kind of thing. And so Gosens is huge for that. Wöber, Wöber I'm actually kind of intrigued by as well, and I'm kind of positive. And all I keep seeing is people doing the memes of him in Euro 2024, where he had an own goal against France, but it's such a random thing to be. I've seen multiple people bringing this up.
I haven't seen it once.
But look, this guy's he's played at a reasonably high level his entire career. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like you said, the passing ability, I think will be important and potentially a good pairing, alongside some other guys. So I'm excited about that one as well. I think, like you said, though, it's probably going to be Adamu that's going to have to be the person that's making a big impact for us to be really successful this season. Not to just put a lot of pressure on him from the beginning, but we need help up front, I think.
Yeah, the guy coming from Freiburg who has experience, obviously, in the Bundesliga. We're going to have to rely on him to be that new X player that adds this to what we already had. It's going to be. I'm curious how this whole Gosens thing works out, because in my eyes, the signing of Gosens was just like you said, it's something for the fans and depth, experience, especially when it gets tried and difficult. But for me, it's like Vitaly Becker, or I don't think we'd have Ndiaye anymore, but at least not I'm aware of. But you'd think Becker with the season he had last year, you're going to start him off there. Maybe I think with the gauntlet, we have to start the season with Augsburg, Bayern, and then I forget who the third game is. Maybe do Gosens in those situations, or at least Bayern, because he has a little bit more experience in that situation. But to me, I would think he'd be more of a super sub, or in case Becker gets injured. But who knows? I don't know. We'll see. We didn't really see Becker at the end of the year after he got hurt, right? And Ndiaye kind of stepped up and took the reins there. But Becker did so well for us in the first half of the season last year. So I'm curious how the left back position battle goes. And then Wöber, initially I was thinking, oh yeah, he's going to start. They're going to put Becker on the right side. This is before Ebimbe got here. And I thought it would be a back three of Katic, Kuricay, and Wöber. But now that you're seeing, obviously we still have Ihan. We have Becker back there. So you think to start the season, obviously Becker's our captain right now. And he did really well against Vinny Jr. In the friendly against Real Madrid. So you would think it's going to be Becker, Katic, and Kuricay to start when we saw that in the Pokal. And then Wöber will be an extra body, as will Ihan. You can rotate them. I think with the way Muslić likes to play, right? Physical, get yellow cards, and then sub people out. You probably see you have nice depth in the center back position where injuries, where we've seen in the past, and also if you get yellow cards or guys in red card trouble, we have a couple guys that can swap right in there and help out. So I'm excited about all these signings. I think it's going to be curious to see. They all have some kind of top level experience, which we need drastically. There's a big difference, and I know a lot of the worry from people are how are some of the guys like the Ljubicic and El Fauzi's how are they gonna deal with the extra pressure that the Bundesliga is, because it is another rise in quality. It is a rise in tactics. As good as the Zweite Liga is, it just, when you go to these top divisions, especially Bundesliga, it's going to be inherently more difficult. So I'm excited to see how this all shapes up and stuff. But it kind of shifts over to our tactical realities and challenges for this upcoming season. You said it already. I don't think it's going to be a cakewalk like last year where we're looking at Europe or a championship. That would be wonderful to talk about. I don't see it. I think we're going to be in that relegation fight, or at least, 15th, 13th through, 18th for the majority of the season. And so how we adapt, because last year we were the favorites for a lot of the parts, especially when we started getting our mojo together and being in the top half of the table. We're underdogs 100%. Almost every game except for the teams we play against from last year, like the Elfsbergs of the world and maybe Paderborns. So how do you think we're going to cope with these challenges? I mean, because obviously Muslić likes to play the sit back. We last year we were number one in the least amount of possession for the year, right? I expect very much that to be the case this year. Obviously, Hallischer game was different. We had 80% possession. Don't expect that at any point this season. So thoughts on the realities and challenges that we face coming up this season?
Yeah, look, I think most of or a lot of our goals, at least last season, I have to look at exactly how many were kind of transitional. A lot of stuff scored that way as opposed to breaking people down in the final third as much.
Yeah.
I think that's likely to continue, obviously, because I think we're not going to have a lot of possession again. I think that's obviously, as you said, I think it's Muslić's preference stylistically, and I think with the rise in level, that's even more likely to be the case, whether it's a stylistic preference or not. You know what I mean? Just in terms of other teams potentially having quality and being able to keep us off the ball. So from that perspective, I think, a lot of our possessions are going to be transition moments in the first place. So maybe that trend will continue. The one thing I'd be concerned about is I think athletically, we're going to be less effective at this level too, using, pace and everything relative, because once again, it's another step up in quality, it's another step up in athleticism, speed, all these sorts of things. And so relying on transitional play, if it's largely just about pace and not quite the intelligent passing, everything like that could be a problem and may not be as fruitful as it was last year. And so I think kind of banking on that is probably an issue. I think we're going to have to do a lot of work on set pieces on the training ground, interesting set piece routines, corner kicks, those sorts of things.
How do they go against Hallischer? I'm just saying. I agree. So who knows? I guess I'm a little bit pessimistic then from that perspective. We'll have to see. Especially because there haven't been that many big signings. It's huge that we have Džeko back and everything, but it isn't a squad overhaul. As I mentioned earlier, we weren't the most effective offensive team last year in terms of just all out footballing brilliance or anything like that. So I'm not sure how it's going to translate. I am there with you, and I think also another one of the worries that we had majority of last season, it was the whole Becker versus Ihan on the right back position. How would they cope with the speed of the Zweite Liga? Well, by the way, now we get to face the Leroy Sanés of the world, who are even faster in the Bundesliga. And so I think this is where Dina Ebimbe, who has experience obviously with Eintracht Frankfurt, has some good pace. We'll see how he can get involved in that debate and if he can help us out, because I think the counterattacking is to your point, right? You said the two growing areas that I remember that hurt us immensely were the counterattack goals, right? I just have flashbacks of the Darmstadt 4-0 game, or even look at this game against Hallischer. They're counterattacking us. You're like, oh my god, they look dangerous. Every counterattack looks dangerous, and they're coming down the flanks. So how does the right back side cope with that, and the left back side too as well? And then the other thing is we gave up a lot of late goals, right? Late goals in the first half, late goal in the second half. What do we do against Hallischer? Goal in the 45th minute, goal in the 90th minute, right? We corrected that at the second half of the season, and it's preseason, so I'm not going to harp on the guys too much. But we got to – those are the kind of things, the set pieces like you talked about. We can figure out things, let people beat us. What we used to say in the Bundesliga back in the day is don't give the Bayerns of the world a present tap in goal front door. Make them carve you up and score goals. If they do that, hey, a goal is a goal, whatever. But if you're gonna give them a present, give them a breakaway from like midfield, like what are we doing here? They can score without us, our help. Let's not make it more harder for them, okay?
Yeah, I agree. Asynchronous in the chat right now just mentioned it. I actually agree with this. You talked about the back three and everything. I think if that does become an issue, particularly on the right side, that you're more likely to see Ion sooner rather than later, potentially on the right side of defense, maybe, and the right center back position, just because of how much better he looked in that area. I think last year.
I agree.
Now, whether or not he has like the head for it in terms of like reading the match and everything, with a step up, that could be another concern, potentially, like the experience. But I didn't think he looked bad in that area last year either. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised if Ion's in there, but maybe I'm being overly optimistic about him.
Now, some of the guys we had last year who thrived. Obviously, Overhaul had a breakout year. A guy who comes from the Dritte Liga, and he just everyone knew who he was at the end of the season. Ljubicic, Aušić, who looked really good in that Hallischer game. Going into the Bundesliga, these guys are going to have a lot more pressure on them, right? How do they cope with that? How can they? It seems like when Džeko's in there, our passing ability increases immensely. It seems like a new team when Džeko's in there passing wise, because it seems like people want to make him happy, so they're not going to mess up and they pass quicker. But when he's not in there, you see a little bit more one-on-ones. You see a little more unsureness of themselves, and so when you get in the Bundesliga with a lot more pressure on you, how are these guys going to cope with that? Hopefully, Muslić has a plan. Muslić and company has a plan on how to deal with this. I imagine, again, like I said before, very much the same recipe as last year, where we're not going to try to keep possession as much as we can. We're going to play counterattacking football. To your point, we don't have the pace, though, as like we did last year, so we'll see how that works out. And rely on set pieces and, maybe a play like we had that fluke penalty. It was a penalty in the Hallischer game, but, relying on stuff like that to come in there. Now, caveat, we didn't have Karaman in that game, and he's back now. He was just missing for one game. I'm curious to see how he does. You mentioned it before. He seemed to play more relaxed with Džeko there. Maybe now, I don't know how many years, 3 years now in a row, he had double-digit goals. Is that going to continue in the Bundesliga this year? I mean, we're going to need it. We're going to absolutely need all the goals he can give. I mean, I'll take another 18 goals from Muslić too. But I'm curious how this all will work out. It's a lot to be determined. Augsburg game will be a better determination of that. Maybe not even Augsburg because it's the first game, but certainly not the Bayern game. You can throw that Bayern game out the window, no matter what the results are. If we win that or whatever, lose 8-0, throw that game out the window because it's going to matter nothing for us.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Expectations this year. I mean, I know you said survival, right? But like, what's a realistic target? Are you looking at like just outside the relegation zone? Like, what are your realistic expectations for the season?
Yeah, look, as much as it's weird. I will say this: the promotion campaign last season was like more comprehensive and more stable than the previous one a couple of years ago.
Yep.
And yet I feel like the talent on that other team a couple of years ago was significantly better than like the talent overall on last year's team in several key positions. That's just kind of how I feel. So like,
but does it go to tactics though? Does that go to tactics why they were better?
Yeah, I mean, I think so for sure, and that's where I'm like excited about Muslić and having the continuity that no one sniped him, right? That we have Muslić going into the season, 100%. The only thing I'm saying is there isn't a squad overhaul happening.
Yeah.
Is that a problem? Are we going to be able to compete on that level? I don't know, because even though we were competitive last year, like we didn't blow most people away. We had a really good defensive performances, and then we just kind of scrapped stuff out and like. We're not going to be keeping clean sheets in the Bundesliga on the level that we did last year.
No.
Like hopefully we're not a disaster, but like we need to be expecting that there's going to be a goal or two goals that are going to be put in, and like we're going to have to come up with them sometimes from somewhere. Like obviously
we won't have as many victory Mondays this year.
That absolutely not, certainly not. You know what I mean? So like we're going to try to keep it tight and everything, but like I don't know. I'm concerned, and I'm not sure where the goals are going to come from. Overall. I'd like to think that we can still be defensively solid, but I'm a little bit worried about the personnel and definitely worried going forward.
Yeah, and I mean that's a great point. Like that team that got promoted a couple years back, or 4 years back now, I could guess. Talent-wise, yeah, that's a much more talented team. But you said, like you said, we had the overhaul. The guys left. Mercedes Jens, he leaves, and all those guys. I mean, pretty much everybody we had. Robin Schroeder had to just do a complete overhaul, and we just didn't have a quality team coming back. Now we have some continuity. You can question how good are they compared to the skill level and compared to people already in the Bundesliga. I guess the one thing on our side is the continuity for once, and so a lot of guys know each other, and so hopefully they can play better off of that. And two, it's the tactics again, right? We know Muslić has done in the past, and he did it last year. Good tactics. How do the tactics? How he sets up the team? How does that work in the Bundesliga? And will it work? To be determined. I'm glad that we kept him, and like you said, he didn't get picking up. I love that someone's asking him about Dortmund. He's like, I would never go to Dortmund. Are you kidding me? Like I've already been here enough, and I know that's not going to ever happen here. So I love hearing that. But let's see what they do. I'm not going to expect anything crazy this year. I don't expect many victory Mondays. Get the points where we can. I think. I don't know how. I'm with you. I don't know how the goal's going to come. I'm hoping, the combination play of Karaman, Aushish, Adamu, Silla, and Džeko find ways to get some goals and get some. We're gonna need the help of the wingbacks, both left and right side, whether that's Becker and Gosens on the left or Ebimbe or whoever on the right. We're gonna need that help. That midfield is gonna have to be much better than they were last year. And last year they were really good, but I think ultimately, I don't know. I can see more Schallenberg end up playing less and less as the year goes on, and seeing more of a Tanaka Elfauzi partnership. That presents other difficulties, just because both players are very similar. They're kind of like eights, and they're not no real six there. But Elfauzi could do it. Tanaka could do it. They both can play that position. So we'll see how it goes. If again, I'm happy if we just escape relegation. That's my goal this year. Survive. Anything else I'll be happy with anything else, but I'm not going to bet the farm and say we're winning the Bundesliga again. Maybe I will say we win the Bundesliga this year. I don't know.
I think the midfield will be interesting because that's actually kind of an area that I feel decent about at the moment, but I'm wondering if I'm like not looking at that closely enough. Like maybe Tanaka won't be what we think he's going to be.
I keep going back and forth.
Yeah, maybe Schallenberg won't be accepted to that kind of thing. I think Elfauzi is interesting. Like I was fully expecting us to sell him. I thought he was one of the more attractive people on our squad, obviously, last year that we could get a lot of money for, and I was kind of expecting him to be gone. I'm surprised that we didn't sell him, and I'm just kind of also going to the season assuming he's going to be one of our best players again. And, like, maybe that won't be the case. Like, he's made a significant jump in a very short period of time in terms of the level that he's playing at. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like back-to-back seasons making jumps is a lot. Obviously, he did brilliantly with it last year, so there's no reason to think he can't repeat that. But, I just really hope that I'm correct about not being worried about that and just kind of taking him for granted because he was fantastic last year.
Yeah, I really want to see how he makes that next jump to the Bundesliga because he's going to have to step it up even more. As good as he was, he's going to have to be even better. So on the expectations on the season, I'll leave you with two questions. First question is, who will be Schalke's breakout player this year in the Bundesliga, if we have one?
Man, I'd have to think about that. Breakout player.
Yeah.
So I mean, you mean like somebody that like didn't have a good season for us last year, or just somebody that hasn't really been playing in the Bundesliga recently? So it would be kind of like a newer name for like that level.
Both those, or it could be a new player, just new to Schalke.
Oh man. I kind of feel like I'm just gonna vote Adamu because, like in terms of, making the impact for us because I'm just I'm rooting for that like very, very hard. What would you say?
I wanted to say Adamu, but you obviously picked him, so I'm not going to pick him. But I will say, I think on the same breath that we saw with like Vitaly Becker last year, right? What endeared him to the fans? His work rate and just the tackling ability and just getting in there and getting dirty, right? I think Satoshi Tanaka could be that guy this year, right? Elfauzi was that guy last year. If Tanaka can do the things we think he can do, then that will endear him immensely to the Schalke faithful. And so I feel like a lot of people are going to be like happy that we have 3 guys that are just ballers in that midfield, especially, little Alfauzi and Tanaka especially. So, yeah, we'll see. I mean, I hope they all become breakout players, and that didn't make me happy. A Sinker says the only breakout player can be Alfauzi, and I guess that could work because he's new to the Bundesliga. So, he would endear himself to or open himself up to more eyes than he did even last year. So, that's a nice shot there. So, second question I have for you before we get to Augsburg. Can Keenan Karaman keep up his double-digit production, goals, and assists this year? Years in a row now.
Man, you're asking me if I want to like betray him live on it. It feels tough. Yeah, I'm going to say no, and that's mostly a reflection of what I expect us to look like offensively, and potentially also other options contributing, and maybe not having to rely on him as much. Fingers crossed. And also just that like it's another year older for him, and once again back in the Bundesliga, and like he's not physically always in terms of like pace and that kind of stuff the best. He makes an impact obviously in the second division. If he doesn't have help, he's going to struggle. He can't be on an island, right? Like I just feel like we have to have really good like the kind of stuff you were talking about after Džeko came in. Even if it doesn't really, like that has to be kind of more of our approach. Yeah. I feel like to unlock some of these guys, and I'm afraid it's going to be a lot of like we're going to be super predictable with the only thing we're trying to do is just create overlaps with wing backs down the sides.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And like, I feel like it's going to be easy to defend. So I feel like we need to try to work on developing other patterns of play. And Karaman's going to be hugely important for that. And if we don't do that, I don't think we're going to get the best out of him anyway. So I think that's important for kind of maximizing the squad.
Yeah, no, that's the realistic side of me saying that. I agree with that. I think he's 33 now, so it is harder. But I think if there's anyone on the team who's going to do that, I think Karaman can, and so I'm gonna say yes, he will do it. It's mostly gonna be goals where just like penalties from the penalty spot and stuff like that. Yeah, he probably had a lot last year too, but I think if it's gonna be that kind of difficult season, you're gonna need those messy type goals where it just comes out of nowhere. You're like, what the hell? And if anyone can do it, that's Karaman. We saw it in the past many times.
Telephone booth Karaman goals.
Yeah.
He's good for one of them a year at least. Yeah,
at least last year he had multiple. So I would say yes, he does keep it up, but just barely. Hopefully he proves me dead wrong and gets 30 goals this year. I doubt it. That's not going to happen. But, hey, you never know. Crazy things have happened. All right, let's look to this Sunday, our first game back in the Bundesliga. We play Augsburg. Historically, a team that gets beat up in the Bundesliga. They're always in that relegation fight. Last year, I thought they finally were going to get relegated, and then they turned it on. And they end up finishing ninth. Pretty solid positioning there, getting to 43 points. Good team, hard team to play against. We're going to see Gregorich again, guy who used to be for Schalke. They had
the BFG.
Yeah. They had a club record 8-game unbeaten streak at the end of the season last year, and they took 26 of the 43 points at home. So they're good at the WWK Arena. It's going to be difficult there. Last year, they relied on a committee to score. It wasn't one person. They're going to rely on scoring. So they got lots of guys who can score. I don't know how many of those same guys remained from last year. And defensively, they just had a high defensive output. So it's going to be a difficult game, a lot more difficult than people think. If you look at it and you say, oh, it's Augsburg, whatever. Yeah, if you compare them to Bayern. But Augsburg's still a good team. They finished ninth place. So I think it's going to be a difficult game. I would be happy with a result in this game.
It was a weird Bundesliga season last year.
Very weird.
In the sense that like there were multiple teams, even into the top 10, that all had like negative goal differences, like all the way down to the bottom. It was like everyone from like what, like I want to say almost like 8th place or something. We're all like negative. Like I said, Augsburg had to go on that run, late in the season. They had almost negative 20 goal difference or something. To finish top 10. So just a weird year, which obviously things change season to season. Maybe that almost gives you more hope in terms of when we're getting promoted, that we're going in to a fight where a lot of the middle and bottom half of the table was all kind of struggling, and it wasn't as much stratification as perhaps there had been previously. I think the fact that Augsburg was a tough defensive team. I mean, like tough being bad, like they were bad at they shipped a lot of goals last year.
Yes.
Hopefully that helps us out. Like I said, I think we're going to struggle on that end. So maybe getting an opponent that's a little bit softer on that front to start off the season may be a helpful thing. And likewise, you know, it kind of goes back and forth. They say, hey, if they're scoring by committee, there's a lot of guys that can hurt you. That can be a bad thing. I almost wonder, especially if we're concerned about there being, you know, once again, like a talent golf, those sorts of things, if we're going to do better against teams that just don't have those killers, you know what I mean? Like the one or two guys that just completely like are clearly different class and are overwhelming, you know, various guys who are going to be able to better handle a team like Augsburg. So, yeah, we'll see. It'll be a good test to start the season. Like you said, certainly can't take them for granted, despite, you know, some struggles that they have perennially. Like you said, you were pretty convinced they were going to be relegated, but certainly turned it on late and fresh season. Who knows?
Yeah, anything can happen. We saw how we almost got relegated 2 years ago, and then we all of a sudden won the championship. So anything is possible. Maybe Augsburg's going to win the title this year. Who knows? Asynchronous, no, I do not know about the MLS Insula rumors. But before we get out of here, Jack, let's take a trip down the memory lane, nostalgia, if you will, and look at some of let's just look at the past here, right? This summer we got to play Atalanta. We got to play Kolasinac. You got to see him again. He said, I was really excited to play at the Veltins Arena again. Even though I'm no longer part of the Royal Blues, I still consider myself a Schalker. We thought he was going to maybe join us with Džeko this year, but it's not going to happen. So, but good to see him always. And he got a great standing ovation. I love that in that game, the announcers announced his name. The crowd went, "Go, let's see that." That was great. Always good to see him around. Additionally, we played Real Madrid. A couple of guys, Katic and Becker, I thought looked decent defensively. But you got to see Muslić getting his park the bus mentality notes from Jose Mourinho, the king of park the bus. Was that good to see the smiles before the game? And then, you know, game played. No, we played okay in that game.
It's classic Schalke, though, playing just as well against top opponents as we do against bottom opponents. You know, Real Madrid only put 3 past us. Hollister puts 2 past us. You know, whatever. Yeah.
What I say during the game? Typical Schalke. Schalke being Schalke. I mean, this is what we do.
It was nice to have Jude Bellingham back in the Veltins Arena and have midfielders harassing him and making him angry. That was fun.
Oh, that was great.
That. Yeah, I don't care who lost. It's still fun. Was just have Alpha was the people just messing with him.
Well, you know who else was at the Real Madrid game? Lots of oldies but goodies, man. Check this out. Look at these guys here. Look at this group of guys right here. Look at Leroy Sané in the house. Look, Hovidas. I forgot his name. That game he slipped my mind.
Is that Booger?
Maybe. Huntelaar, Jermaine Jones, the American German. That's all the pictures I got. But there's Bourdon was there. I love seeing that Bourdon was there.
In that group picture, I think I saw Velt class.
Max Myers there.
Can walk in any team in Europe.
Yeah, Kan Ayhan is there. Kan Ayhan was there as well. And names are escaping me at the moment. I'm going to brain fart. Oh, that's Wielenreuter, the goalkeeper. Man, I'm drawing blanks now.
That's Wielenreuter?
Yeah.
Dude, I haven't seen that guy since he was like 18 playing in the Bernabeu. So
this is Wielenreuter right here next to Jermaine Jones. So.
Okay,
No, it was good to see those guys. It's obviously, you know, there's a special teams that they were on, and you know, hopefully this current team can bring back some of those by remaining in the Bundesliga. You know, there was a statistic that came out today about TV money, and obviously Bayern's going to take the share of that, but you know, Schalke's going to get, I think, 33 million between national and international sales or TV rights, I guess. So that's some money coming in, helps us getting back to in the positive side as best we can. Still a little bit of way to go, but you know what Roel Hammers is doing is she's doing an excellent job, and the whole management team is doing a great job with trying to get us back to prosperity, if you will. So better times, hopefully on the horizon. So. That's it. That's a preview. We are finally back. Season 10 games this Sunday, 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time, 10:30 a.m. Chicagoland time with Jack. Closing comments before we get out of here, Jack?
No, just it's a pleasure to be back with you. I'm very grateful for 10 years of you in this podcast, this community. And like I said, it feels good to be back up top. Hopefully we stay there. really looking forward to it. And hopefully all the streaming stuff goes well for us this year. That's been the ongoing saga, right? We're second division, first division. Who's got the streaming rights? Where can we watch it this season? It's more crazy than ever. We're going to figure it out together, folks. So hopefully it goes well.
I'm glad you said that because we thought it was ESPN. We're like, oh, we're good. But like, no, it was expired this year. So now USA Network gets the game of the week, and Fandango for free, allegedly, has the rest of the game.
Sure. Why not?
And allegedly on demand as well. So we will see. Again, and for those who are watching the Pokal, whether it's Schalke or any other Pokal matchup, go to DFB Play, the app. You can watch the games for free. You can watch the replays for free as well. Luckily, we found that last minute, and a bunch of us were able to watch that game. So otherwise, you would have to pay $5 on one football, which we did in the past when we were in the Zweite Liga. So by any means necessary, we watch Schalke. So hopefully more free than not, for us in the States at least. I can't say about any other part of the country, of the world, I should say. So, yeah, happy to be back in the Bundesliga. Happy to be back doing this. And it's going to be a year. It's going to be a year for sure with Schalke. So, but I'm in a good place. All settled in my new pad for a while, long time. And so, yeah, maybe for 10th year, Jack and I can figure something out and do something in person or something. Who knows? We'll see. We'll see. All right, Jack, where can our followers find you on social media?
At JMang and JMMANGA on Twitter. How about that for first?
Look at that.
Like
you're mid-season stride right there. You can follow me at R_KHARMAN. Follow us anywhere on social media using our hashtag Schalke America. If you haven't done so yet, subscribe, like, follow, comment, and share us. Share us with all your friends and stuff. And shout out to all our German compatriots on the podcast and content creation waves. So, all right, games on Sunday. We'll be back Monday, perhaps. We'll see. And enjoy the weekend. Enjoy the Bundesliga. And the season kicks off Friday.
Victory Monday. Who says no?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Look out.